Welcome to Your Vibrant Life podcast with me, Alison Stockton, the founder of Vibrant Balanced Health, health and wellness expert, and author of best-selling book, The Woman I Am Becoming. Thank you so much for joining on this podcast, where we will be sharing every week top tips, tricks, and inspiration of how you too can live your most vibrant life. Stepping into areas of personal development, self-love, self-appreciation, spirituality, and becoming the best version of yourself and living your most vibrant life. We're going to share with you steps and advice on health, spirituality, self-love, self-care, self-worth, and how to grow into the most incredible woman that you've always desired to be. This is a space for women to learn, to grow, and to live their healthiest, happiest life with women who are here ready to support you. We are so happy to welcome you here. And if you feel so called to, please do leave a comment at the end of the show to let us know that you've enjoyed it, share it with a friend or two, and inspire somebody today to live their best life and to learn to love the life that they live. We are so grateful for you being here, and we wish you the most incredible journey into living your most vibrant life. So guys, I am so excited to welcome you to this next episode with my amazing guest, Lis Pezik. She is a business strategist. She is 2 times best-selling author. She is a speaker, and she is just one epic badass woman who is also just an incredible friend. And I'm so happy to have met her, and we'll talk about how and why we met a little bit later on. But I'm going to just hand you over to Lisa so she can introduce herself a little bit more and tell you more about what it is that she does as a strategist and how she got there. So Lisa, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here. You know, anytime someone says, hey, will you come and serve my tribe or serve my people? I never take that lightly. Like, that's such an honor to do that. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm so excited to be here.
You're so welcome. It's an amazing pleasure to have you here as well. So Lisa, you are coming to me live all the way from Toronto in Canada.
Yes.
Which is amazing. Wait, is it summertime? Is it going into winter? Where are we at?
Going into fall now.
Oh,
we're in between summer, fall. So it's a little bit crisper in the air, which I like personally.
I like that. I also miss the sunshine, but I do like that crispness. God, we're going from fall to Christmas already. Let's not do that. So listen, your journey to where you are right now is pretty epic. And there is obviously, the reason you're on here is because you do have such an epic story to share with everybody, which I'm so excited for you to do so. But I just want to share with everybody how women can really come together, and collaboration over competition is so, so important. So back in 2017, which is where Lisa and I met in London, was from something that was meant to happen that almost didn't happen. And you got together with an epic friend of both of us, who is Lis Pezik, who is also a business coach and does some epic stuff. And if it wasn't for you two, then we actually wouldn't have met. And we met some incredible friends there as well. And from that, we've actually gone on and met each other in California as well since that time. So that's pretty epic. And, you know, from that story and that journey in 2017, your life has taken like a complete turnaround with your business, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm. I was really having trouble seeing the link of how starting as an ICU nurse by degree, then being in the health and fitness industry, personal trainer, group fitness instructor, fitness nutrition specialist, every degree under the sun for that. And now a speaker, author, content, business strategist, all in business. Like, I'm like, how? I feel like I'm the queen of transition. It's like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up sometimes, right? But I was like, no, all of these building blocks had a purpose. And sometimes you don't know that you're not on the right path until you're on the wrong path. Or sometimes you don't know what it's all for, or what it all means when you're in it. It's like when you're able to see that from 30,000 feet up high, you go, oh, that made complete sense to me. And that was literally the aha that I had, no word of a lie, about a month ago. And what came up for me was I really want to help people heal and be heard.
Yeah.
And that comes from, I grew up in an environment where a town of 1,000 people, small town, Pennsylvania, everyone knows everyone. And it was follow the path that my mom and dad set out for me, or there was going to be a battle. It was like, my life was not my life. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. Don't argue with us.
Really? That was dictated to you?
What's that?
That was dictated to you?
100%. Or it was like who I dated, where I went to school, what I went to school for. It was living out their dream. Wow. And it wasn't my dream. But being the kind of person that I am, I would excel at anything that I put my mind to because that's just how I am. So I became this amazing nurse, ICU nurse, something that isn't, maybe it is now, but back then it was, you don't do that right out of college. You've got to kind of work your way up to be able to be an ICU nurse. And I was like, no, that's what I want. And that's where I want to be. So I'm not going to work my way up. I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this happen. And I did. But it was so stressful. It was so stressful.
When you made that decision, did you have the support of your family behind you?
Then I did, because it was still living out their dream of the nurse in the white scrubs coming to save the day, this noble woman, right?
So is that the vision that they had for you, to be a nurse?
Oh, yes. They wanted me to go be a nurse in the military, and they wanted me to do all these like crazy things.
Are you an only child?
No, I have an older brother.
Okay.
And his life, very different from my life. Very much.
To follow the rules.
He could do whatever he wanted.
Okay. Anyway, let's get back to you.
Uh-huh. So they were still supportive, but I was so burnt out. That was when I first, I believe, felt what I couldn't put my finger on it to say I'm burnt out. I probably didn't know enough in my early 20s that that's what it was, but I was so burnt out. I can remember shaking and crying and having to compose myself. Literally, the doors of the ICU, it had intensive care unit up top, and I'd have to put in my keypad and hit the button to be able to go into work. And I would literally be like frozen standing in front of that keypad. People would be coming in behind me, putting in their keypad, going through, and I would be standing there like frozen going, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I could do another day. I don't know if I can take this. The emotional, the physical, the day in, the day out, just stress that I was under.
And do you think that was, I'm just going to ask you, because I'm sure there's lots and lots of women listening to this who feel the same. And is that because you were living someone else's dream? Is that because you didn't enjoy it? Or is that because you were just like, what is it that I'm doing here?
Yeah, it was the mix of all of it. It was the mix of all of it, I felt, even though I had earned the right to be there, I felt that from the other women, the older, more seasoned nurses, like, who's this young punk coming in here? In their mind, I didn't earn it.
Because you'd stepped up and you'd learned and you'd got the certification from being stamped and sealed, as opposed to, like you say, you haven't earned it, you haven't walked those steps for however many months, years, and whatever, like they probably had to.
100%. So it was just that my reality was very different from their reality, and they were not very kind to me at all. That's
a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure in your work environment, especially if you're not doing what you want to do, especially if it's not your passion. And then you've got peer pressure from going to work and not really having that energetic vibe around you. That's a tough call.
It was brutal. But being an athlete growing up, I always loved the gym. The gym was always my release. Okay. And that was where I became a bit of a gym rat. Whenever I wasn't working, I wasn't out with my friends, being social, I was at the gym. And I became one of those, front row people in the group fitness classes that always come. They're like diehards.
You have your own place, your own seat on the spin bike. That's yours. Don't touch it.
Right? And I was willing to share. But I was somehow always in the front row, like showing up. And really it was showing up for me to release that stress and have a healthy way to cope with everything. I mean, again, sometimes I think about the life and death stuff that I dealt with at like early 20s. I didn't have the capacity.
Nothing prepares you for that. You know, doing all your certification, graduating, being in the labs, it doesn't actually prepare you for that face-to-face when it happens, but also dealing with the mortality of families and the people you've got to talk to and speak to. You know, what were your coping mechanisms for that? Or was it going to the gym and releasing it that way?
In my early 20s, it was partying.
Okay.
To be honest, it was drinking, it was partying, it was promiscuity, like it was quick fix happiness and highs. Never did drugs or anything crazy like that, but definitely alcohol, drinking, partying, boys, like, it was searching for that love and that comfort and that stress release. And
did you have that in Pennsylvania, in this small town of 1,000 people? That was there?
I grew up with that. It's
was there anything else to do apart from that?
That was, when you couldn't go to the bar, you went camping and so it was, there wasn't a heck of a lot to do in a very small town. So that's what we did. We drank, right? And that's just kind of how it was. That's how I grew up. And, so I kind of realized that it was fun in the moment, but then the next morning when I had to get up for work and I had to be in a life and death situation, then I felt even crappier. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to self-destruct. Like, how long did you do that for? 23, 22, I'm going to self-destruct. So I thought I got to get back into, I can remember one shift where there was a woman who was dying it was a cancer, and it was she had this like clotting issue, and basically she was bleeding like out of her nose and out of her eyes. And it was just it was absolutely awful. It was absolutely awful. And she was dying and she was going to die. And I remember I was caring for her that day. And I remember her husband, she was not going to make it past my shift. And her husband had two little boys. She was young. She was in her 30s. They had two little boys, this very rare form of cancer, and two little boys. I think they were 5 and 3. And he said, what do I do? He said, do I bring them in to see their mom in this kind of state? Or do I let her pass and then wait until she's passed on? And I don't know what to do right now. And I can remember I said, you should bring them in, because kids want closure and they want to know what happened to mom. And I can remember being like, I don't know if that's the right decision or the wrong decision. I don't know if I'm doing something good. I don't know if I'm doing something bad. And I thought, God, I gotta not only take care of people, but I gotta take care of families. And this is something that these little boys are going to remember for the rest of their life. And I thought, I gotta be on my best game if I'm going to play in this kind of place and this kind of world and this kind of scenario. I got to be my best.
And that's a tough gig if you're not getting any support. If you're not getting the mental support and the therapy that you need, then that's because as far as I know, nurses don't. If you're a psychotherapist or you're a psychologist, you have to do time with another therapist to make sure you release it, and you're building on your resilience and your strategies to how to cope. But as far as I know, you guys don't get that.
We push through, we move on. We don't talk about things. We're not allowed. We're supposed to not feel emotion. We push through, and that's not always the healthiest. So I knew that if I wanted to take care of myself, be healthy, show up the way that I needed to, I had to start taking care of myself. And I had to get back into that athlete mentality. And it was like getting out of that victim mentality of, I hate my job. I'm so misaligned. I have no support. People are bullying me. I don't know if I'm good or bad, or I don't know what's going on. And I started going to the gym, and then the instructors there said, like, you're amazing. You should be an instructor. And I was like, oh, no, me be an instructor. No. And they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. When are you going to go for the certification? When are you going to be up here on stage with us? When are you going to be teaching? And I'm like, I'm not. And they're like, yes, you are. And it's so funny because people probably don't know the impact sometimes that they have on you. Or I don't think other people know sometimes when someone's going through something, how much of a light they can be. And those instructors were they were probably just going about their day, seeing something in me, encouraging me. But to me, it was like everything, because it was a healthy way that I was being encouraged to find myself, to put myself forward, to be confident, to be the person I was meant to be. And honestly, as simple as it sounds, being a group fitness instructor completely changed everything for me. It was like when I would click on that microphone and get in front of those people and lead, it was such a high. It was such a joy. It was so fun. And I truly, for the first time in my life, became confident and started to really think about what I wanted in my life.
And so were you still nursing at that point? Were you doing it as a side gig?
Yep,
I completely, you kind of like gave me goosebumps then, because as an instructor for like 20 years, doesn't matter what shit you've just left out that door, like you say, you put that head mic on and you've got 25 people in a spin class and you're like, okay, guys, if I'm feeling shitty, what kind of day have you had? Let's just go for this. Let's release it. And let's, but not increase that stress. Let's take it to the point where you can actually just feel great.
Yes.
I totally get that. So this was a side gig still. You were enjoying it, but being paid for it, which is epic.
Yeah. And being paid for it, which was lovely. And I can remember that on night shift, on night shift nursing, I would carry in, back then we had like, everything's online now, but I had like textbooks to learn how to be like a personal trainer and fitness nutrition and pain-free movement specialist and senior fitness specialist and postnatal and prenatal. And, I had like every certification under the sun in fitness. And I can remember like lugging in my backpack, these like big, fitness books and learning and training. And that's what I would do on night shift when there would be just a little bit of a quiet half-hour moment, like my quote unquote break, which I rarely ever got. But those moments that I did get a break, I wouldn't be sleeping. I would be learning, because I just felt so different being in the health and fitness industry. And I started to really see proactive versus reactive health, and how the healthcare system is a sick care system. And it's treating things after they've happened, whereas health and fitness is a preventative system or a reversing system. That really started to fire me up, that I don't have to treat people after they're sick. I can actually help people prevent a lot of these things. And it's not popping a pill. It's what the food, as you know, the food they put in their mouth and their habits and all of that. So
I love that you've just come onto that. I love that you've just come onto that, because if you can touch on that just for a second, it is trauma. The way that healthcare is right now is we deal with trauma. We're not, if you have a car accident, you're going to need to go to hospital. If you've had something that needs to be repaired, you're going to need surgery. If you need to have a pain relief, then there has been surgery and hypnosis done. But if you've just had a major car accident, the likelihood of getting a hypnosis to deal with that pain isn't going to be there. So, we deal with the trauma when we're in the healthcare system, but when we talk about health and well-being, it's about that holistic approach. And it's amazing. As you've just said, as being a nurse in ICU and seeing it all, the difference when you look at it from a holistic point of view.
Yeah. And that was a approach that I started to use around like breathing and just different ways of, thinking about things. And it was very, it was very foreign to these seasoned nurses that only knew a certain way and a certain thing. And again, it's not to say good, bad, here, there. It's, what you know, and you apply what you know. And until you know differently, you don't necessarily do differently. So again, I was really starting to feel this divide between, here's my take on health and wellness, And then here's the system that I'm playing in. And I always, throughout my life, I've always kind of felt like that, not outsider, but just the world has this perspective and I have this perspective. And I don't know how that all fits, or I don't know what to do with that. And that was kind of like my first taste really with that. But yeah, doing this, side hustle gig. And my single girlfriend said to me, "Hey, Lisa, we're going to go on a vacation." They were not the nurses that I worked with. They were friends.
You had some nice friends outside of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, but they were actually nurses that I had met there at the hospital in hospital orientation, but did not work in the ICU, did not work in the same, place as me. And again, not my like regular circle of friends that I hang out with, like a kind of like a new circle of friends. Mm-hmm. And I was really close with the one girl, and she was like, "You should come on vacation. We're all going on this vacation to the Dominican. You should go." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like I can't go to the Dominican. Like, come on." Like,
okay, let me ask you this as an American citizen. Had you actually left the country at that point ever? It amazes me when Americans don't leave the country.
I had left one time, once. An ex-boyfriend in high school, no, college. It was my first year of college. His friends had a house in Barbados, and we went for like a week, but only one time in my whole like 20 plus years of life. Yes, that was the second time I'd ever left the country.
I love it. And I only ask you that because I have American friends who, they don't get a passport till like they're 26 or 30 because there's so many different places to visit in the States. So I totally get it. But I just wanted to ask that from you. So go on, you're going on vacation to Dominican with these new girlfriends.
Again, small town Pennsylvania, like we don't leave the bubble. Like you stay in the bubble, right? Like you don't leave the bubble. If you're smart, you leave the bubble. But so my friends were like, "We got to go on this trip and you got to come." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then I was like, "Lisa, just freaking do it. Like you deserve to feel joy. You deserve to go on a vacation. You're working your butt off. Like just go." Right. So we get on the plane and I'm there and we were talking about like boys and dating and like typical like young 20-year-old stuff. And I was like, "I'm never going to meet a man who's right for me. Woe is me. And I'm going to be single forever. And life sucks." And we're getting out of the airport transportation. I'm getting onto the resort and I'm walking up with my little luggage, walking up, to check in. And my now husband, at the time, was there with his single guy friends, saw me getting out of the taxi, and he looked at his buddies and he said, "Whoa, I got to go talk to that girl. I don't know who she is. I don't know where she came from. I don't know what's happening right now, but I got to go talk to that girl." And his buddies were like, dude. Like,
yeah, I'm like, dude, don't.
No, they're like, she isn't even like on the island yet. Like, dude, you're going to creep her out. You're going to be creepy. You're going to be creeper alert. Don't do it. I promise, like, this is a small resort. You'll see her later. So we waited. And he did. A few hours later, we were at the discotheque, and we were dancing. And he came up to me and he said, would you like to dance with me? Would you like to dance with me? And I was like, I think I would. And we started dancing and, like bumping and grinding. They do that nowadays in the clubs. Bumping and grinding. Nothing.
Yeah, you're from a small town, remember? It's like
a small town. We were bumping and grinding and doing things we shouldn't have been doing, but at that age. But it was very honest and sincere and gentlemanlike. And I thought, wow, this is really nice. Like I have a really good feeling about this. And then the second question he said to me, he said, would you like to go get a drink? And I was like, well, we've been dancing. I'm kind of sweaty. Hydration, important. Sure, let's go. So we go to the bar and we get a drink. And then we realized it was so loud. We were trying to kind of like talk to each other then.
Yeah.
Creepy, weird vibes weren't there. The good vibes were there. So we kind of started trying to talk at the bar, but it was so loud. He was like, do you want to go for a walk? And this is the point where if he was like creepy, stalker, weird, bad person, it probably could have all gone very bad because I separated from my girlfriends and I said, I'm going to go for a walk with this guy I just met. We're going to go walk on the beach. And we walked on the beach and we just started talking about, like, keep in mind, this is the first like hour that we met each other. We were talking about where we're from and our family and children and careers and like all this like deep stuff about life and how we feel about life. And I kind of was like, I'm really tired. I'm actually really tired as we were walking and talking because I had worked like 12-hour shifts prior to going on this vacation.
Oh, wow. So you get the holiday days.
To be able to take those days, because I didn't earn the holiday time kind of thing. So I had worked I think it was my 12th 12-hour shift that night, like that night before coming, got off the shift in the morning, got on the plane. So I like hadn't slept in like almost like 24, 48 hours. And I was like, God, I'm tired. So on my husband and our very first date, I fell asleep. On him. We sat on a beach chair. I was so tired. I fell asleep, and as the perfect gentleman, he waited. I slept for about 45 minutes. He waited. He sat next to me and waited, like held me. I fell asleep on him, like held me, waited till I woke up, said, you're really tired. I think it's time I put you to bed, walked me back to my hotel room. And that was I guess technically our first quote unquote date. But I was there. He only had 4 more days left on the island. I was there for a few more days. We had 4 fantastic days together. And he thought he was never going to see me again. When it was his time to get on the plane and go back to Canada, he thought...
Yeah, that's a big point. You're from Pennsylvania and he's living in Canada.
Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, I like this guy. He's amazing. But how is this all going to work? And in my mind went straight to the logistical, where his mind was, it was his heart. He was leading from his heart. And he was like, I really hope we'll talk again. I really think we had something special. And he didn't think I was ever going to call him again. He got really emotional because he thought that was I was the woman of his dreams and he was never going to see me again. But I texted him and I said, a couple hours later, I said, I hope you made it home safe. And I would definitely like to chat with you, once we both get back on our homelands. And we did. We chatted and he said, I want to come see you. And 2 weeks later, he drove down. It was within driving distance. It was about 7.5 hours away from where he was in Canada to where I was in Pennsylvania. And I'll never forget opening the door to him when he pulled up to my apartment and rang the doorbell. And it was a cheesy, it was
like Pretty Woman. I can just visualize Pretty Woman.
It was our eyes met and we kissed each other and we embraced, and I knew. And at that moment, I knew he was going to be the man I was going to marry.
Oh my God, that's like serendipity, just right there. Insane creation. It does happen. The universe really does make these things happen. So listen, he came, he drove. How long did he keep doing this driving up and back and forth for?
9 months. We did 9 months of a long distance relationship. He had off more time than I did.
And let's just say when you met him 14 years ago or whatever it was, no FaceTime, no Skype. Well, there was kind of Skype. There's no video conferencing as such, and no WhatsApp and no Facebook. What did you do?
Yeah, it was so difficult to, we don't have all the beautiful technology that we have now to be able to connect face to face with people. We would be up on the phone 4, 5, 6 till 3, 4 in the morning, just on the telephone, just talking and talking and talking and talking. And we got engaged after 4 months of being together, which again was in my mind, I was I'm going to be, I'm going to be dating someone for 2 years and then we're going to get engaged. And I had this whole plan of how things were going to happen in my life. And 4 months into it, we felt so strongly that for sure we knew we were meant to be together forever. And because we had gotten to know so much about each other in just 4 months' time that I think it takes a couple of years to probably uncover and talk about. But all we could do was talk on a phone. So we got to know each other so well. And you can imagine, so my family who had my life planned, you can imagine the news when I tell them that, I've met a man from Canada. We've been doing long distance. I love him. He loves me. We're engaged. And I'm thinking about moving out of the country. You could imagine the backlash and way that did not go well whatsoever.
Really? And so you did not get the blessing? You didn't get support?
No, they were having no part of it. And again, it was very much, not to be stereotypical, but I can remember my mom, she was like, you're abandoning your family, you're abandoning your friends, you're abandoning your job, and you're abandoning your country.
Okay. So that didn't play on your heart or anything. So what did you do?
And they basically were not, I did not get their blessing, to put it kindly.
Okay.
And that again was a huge defining moment, because it was continue to have my life living out someone else's dreams and being dictated to, or it was shake things up and live your own life.
So did you get married in Canada or did you get married in America?
We still got married in the US. That was one thing that I always had that vision of walking down the aisle in my own church, because I loved my church. Now I'm like, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but like, I'm so far from the Catholic Church. Like, I haven't been to church in I don't even know how many years.
I know, me too.
I find spirituality and, the creator and God in different ways now than going to church.
I totally hear you. That's another topic, because my kids went to Catholic school, and we were just recently looking at a new school, and it's Christian school. And he's like, Mom, the universe made the world, not the church. And it's like, it's a whole new topic. And I'm like, okay, let's just look at that. But I totally hear you. But that was the dream that you had at that time. So you followed it through and you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So decided to move and ended up still getting married in Pennsylvania, but really technically kind of started our life in Canada as when we moved in together and moved up here. And I went from a town of 1,000 or so people to like 1 million in Toronto.
That's crazy.
And I remember one of the first times we were driving through this like not so nice part of the city, and there were hookers.
Oh my God. I knew you were going to say that.
And I can remember I was like nudging Eric, my husband, and I was like, honey, I think those women need help. I was like, they're going up to like all these cars and they're like stumbling, and like, I think we should help them. Like, do you think there's something wrong with them? Maybe we should ask them if they need help. And he's like, dear, he's like, they're women of the night. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, we need to help them. He's like, honey, they're hookers.
Yeah. I totally didn't get it. I have friends from Montreal, and I was telling them, because we now live in Vienna, and it's like, but they're not on the street. They're in houses. And in Switzerland, when we lived in Switzerland, it's all legalized. They get special insurances and they have medicals and everything. And I was like, oh my God. And then I remember my friend saying to me, yeah, it's normal. You'd see like big billboards in Canada advertising them and what have you. So it's like, oh, so from you, small town, to see that, that's eye-opening.
And I really realized like how, and even where I grew up was very white American Catholic. Like I really, it's such a blessing. And a lot of people do ask me, like, do you like where you live? And I'm like, I love it. There's so many cultures and so many people. And like when you live in the bubble, you don't realize that you're in the bubble, and you don't realize how many fascinating and interesting and beautifully diverse and beautiful people, of all cultures and races and, love and everything. Like, it's so beautiful here that it's such a beautifully accepting, wonderful place that my eyes were really open to outside of small town Pennsylvania, USA, what the world was really made up of. Yeah. So that was great. And then, my husband has always been entrepreneurial. He worked for a while in the agencies in Toronto doing digital marketing and that sort of stuff.
So hang on a minute. What happened? You moved to Canada.
I did.
Eric is a digital marketer.
Yes.
You're a nurse.
Yes.
Did you go into nursing, or did you do the fitness career? Which avenue did you take?
Yeah, I did both. So I got a job as an ICU nurse up here. Mm-hmm. And ironically, I went through the same darn thing. And
really?
Don't get me wrong, like there are amazing, I love nurses. I love our community. There are amazing nurses and amazing teams and amazing people. But again, it was that, what are you doing here? You're an outsider. You're from the US and you're working in our hospital, in our country, in our place. it was like this, to them, I think it was like this entitled little white girl coming up. And I'm like, oh no, there is nothing entitled about the background that I came from. But again, I think because the hospital really needed nurses, a teaching hospital, and I had the exact expertise they wanted to fill in that spot, that they actually held the job for me until my paperwork passed and my citizenship and the whole bit. And I think that ticked off a lot of people as well.
Okay.
That I wasn't treated very kindly. It's almost like history repeated itself. I wasn't treated very kindly. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to teach group fitness classes. Like, I'm going to go back into the gym. I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to go back to what I love. And it was my husband that actually said to me, do you really want to go work for somebody else? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, do you want to go teach at the gym? And like, do you want to work for yourself? And I was like, I want to work for myself. Like, what is this even an option? I had not, because I didn't grow up like entrepreneurial. Yeah. I grew up in a blue collar, hard working, keep your head down, be thankful you have a job, don't make waves. And so did my husband, ironically. He grew up in that same, he's the only, he has two brothers of the three boys. He's the only one that went to college, the only one that got a degree, but then the only one that started doing like freelance work and getting into the entrepreneurial, like he didn't grow up in that either. But I had never even thought that was even an option for me. Like, I was like, what do you mean you can like work for yourself and be an entrepreneur? And that was where it was through his push and his like, no, babe, like we're going to do this. Like, let's do this. Like, wow. Be your own boss. Let's do it. And I was like, okay. So his belief in me made me open my first business. It was called Lis Pezik Quick Fitness. And it was all about 30-minute express classes because you're busy and you got stuff on the go. And again, I was like, I want to do something different and I want to go online because I had a lot of friends from Pennsylvania and previous like people that I taught in group fitness classes that were like, I'm so sad you moved to Canada. Like, I still want to work with you. How do I do that? And I was like, I wonder if I do like an online program so that whole thing developed from online nutritional counseling classes, courses, masterminds, retreats. Like, wow. I kind of just worked that whole offline, online business quite quickly.
And how long ago was this though? Because we've already just mentioned about the fact that there was no Skype, there was no FaceTime, there was no Facebook when you first met Eric. So when you got to Canada, how did you do that? How did you set up that business with them being
so the first? And this is where I say sometimes you have to be willing to evolve and you don't figure it all out overnight. So the first like 3 to 4 years in business was all offline. So it was one-to-one personal training. It was one-to-one nutrition counseling. It was teaching group fitness classes. It was creating that authority, completely offline.
And did you say goodbye to nursing at that point?
I did. So I was still nursing.
Oh, you were still doing it?
I was still nursing. I was a bit crazy in the sense that, and I have mixed emotions about this when I think about it. So in Canada, what they do is you get what they call like a year-long maternity leave. So they will hold your job for you for a year. They're actually thinking of increasing it now to, I think, 1.5 years it might be now, but year-long. You only get like 30% of your income. So people go, oh my God, you get a year off and you get paid. And no. You take the year off. You only get like 30% of your income. But the beautiful part is that you get that year. Your job is secured. You can come back to your job, but you get that year off that you can be with baby and be a mom and not have to worry about if you want to breastfeed and you want to just have that like bonding time.
Okay.
So you get this year off and you do only get 30% of your income. So it's not like you get, I mean, I guess there are some jobs where they call it top up and you do actually get paid. So it depends on where you work and what you do. But moral of the story is you get a year off where you don't have to work. You can be with baby. You can be at home. And this is the time when, so you get this year off. And for me, it was only getting 30% of my income. Some jobs that you work in, they'll do what's called top up and you'll get paid in full and still get the year off. I don't know why that always happens. It's sometimes like the healthcare people get the crappiest benefits. That's how it like happened to be like no top up here, but I didn't care. I was like, I want that year off with baby. And it's very cool tool because you could actually split it.
Hang on a minute. You missed something out here that you had a baby in between.
Yeah, so we had a babe. Oh, sorry. I was jumping through already.
We missed Oliver.
Yes, right. He's going to be 6 pretty soon, which is crazy. So time flies. But we had Oliver. And then, oh man, did like, who am I? What's my purpose on this planet? Little eyeballs looking up to me and my role modeling, like gut check. Whoo, that was like
changes. Makes a huge shift, right?
Oh, huge shift. And in that year off where most women are healing, and I'm not even, people say, oh, you get a break. I'm like, you kidding me? There's nothing about a break with a newborn. But I like took it to next level crazy, because when I wasn't nursing and, you know, doing everything that newborns require, you know, every hour or whenever he would nap, I decided that I was going to grow. That was going to be the year that I was going to grow my business, and I was going to pursue this whole online space that not fitness people weren't playing in. Other people in business were certainly in the online space, but in the fitness industry, like Beachbody On Demand hadn't even been out yet. Like all these big online fitness known name things weren't really around yet. And I actually had an online program before Beachbody On Demand ever came out. And I was like, I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to throw myself into the fire, try to figure it out. And it wasn't really anything fancy. But with my husband's help, knowing the whole website and digital and coding and design, and we were able to get that up and get an online program up and going and create online courses. And really, I went full in the online space and less in the personal training kind of space, because I would say the first year, I even tried to resist, because it was like, you get scared. Fear comes up when you're about to throw yourself into something that you don't know.
I think so many women have that. And I just want to touch on that now, because fear happens even when you've not got a brand new baby.
Yeah.
And, you know, a career that you've worked so hard for. And do I leave that? What am I doing the right thing? You start to have this imposter syndrome and question yourself. And then that fear comes in. So, you know, that happens even more so when you just had a baby, because like you said, you're like, who even am I? So well done you. Kudos for getting that.
And, you know, it was a bit of... I can remember the first like 2-3 months of having him, and I was still trading hours for dollars. I was still only getting paid personal training and group fitness teaching. And what we did was we actually converted our garage into like a garage studio. So I was having people come into my home and I was training them out of the home. And I can remember I was just taking on more and more and more and more and more and more and more clients. And I can remember a few times training late into the night. Mm-hmm. And I would rush out of the studio after the last client would have left. And I would look at Eric and I would say, is he up? And Eric would literally say, like, he'd be like, babe, you just missed him. Like he just went, I just put him down. He just like isn't making a peep. You missed him by like 10 minutes. And I would be like, oh, right. Cause like you don't wake the sleeping baby. When the newborn sleeps, the baby sleeps, you let it be. But I can remember going like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I want to grow this business because I want to be there for my family, yet I'm sacrificing time with my family to grow this business.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way. So that really was where what is that better way? What can I do? What do we know? What new land can I play in? And that's where online came about. So this was like 4 months after I had my son that I developed this online program. And again, it was before anybody knew of the online space. And the local TV station, actually, I believe like my husband sent a press release for me into like all these outlets saying like, you know, this online program. And my husband, like, he was such a driver of like, we're doing this, babe, and people are going to know about you and we're going to go. And the TV station said, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, we don't know anybody doing this, especially nobody in our like local Toronto kind of area. We would love to have you on. television. And I thought, at first I was like, frick, I'm not going on television. And then I was like, no, this is a stretch. Okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it and see what happens. And it's going to be fine. And I used to teach classes, I'm teaching group fitness classes and I know how to be in front of people and it's all going to be fine. Okay, I'll be fine. So I get up and I go, and the segment went great. It went great. The news anchor was so nice and we laughed and it went by. It was I think it was a 6-minute segment and it felt like it was 30 seconds. The time flew. And then even afterwards, the TV anchor was like, that was really great. He's like, you did a great segment and it's going to serve a lot of people. And I hope you get business out of it. And just thank you for being you. It's beautiful. So he says, it was 9 a.m. It was the morning segment. And they said, it'll be live by 11 a.m. So it'll be on social media. It'll be up there on the website. You can share it. You can the whole bit. Perfect. I couldn't wait to go back and see it and see the response. So I waited. I was watching the clock. I waited and 11 o'clock came and I clicked in to find it. And then there it was. And it was, who is this woman? She thinks she's a fitness trainer. Why is she so overweight? Why does she have such a big belly? Is she a nurse? Did she say she's a nurse and a fitness trainer? Shouldn't she be the epitome of health? She doesn't look like a typical trainer looks like. Because it was 4 months, I ended up having a emergency C-section with Oliver. I wanted the home birth, no intervention, no nothing. Ended up having an emergency C-section. Didn't really give that nurse, we pushed through, didn't give myself that time to rest and recover. Got right into this is the time when I'm going to build this business. So not only was I carrying just extra baby weight and I was breastfeeding, but my body, I could imagine I had so much inflammation.
Oh God, that's what people don't understand when you have a cesarean, because it doesn't allow you to heal naturally initially. You've got to rest and recover first before you can even start to heal. Yeah. So 4 months postnatal and you're on TV.
Yeah.
And all these questions coming in about doubting you and who are you, and
it was almost like they just completely missed the words coming out of my mouth and they just looked at my body shape, and it was purely based on my appearance,
aesthetic. Yeah.
But then the most so of course, right, people go, what did you do? Did you go screw them and care? No, I cried. I cried so hard when I saw those comments. And I think, again, that's people go, well, screw them and forget them. And that came later, but we are human and we do feel emotion.
That's hard. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But words actually really do hurt so much more because your bones heal. Words are in your head and you remember all your coping mechanisms with that.
Totally. And the messages growing up of just be thankful you have a job, just be thankful someone would hire you. It made me think, should I just be a nurse? Should I not be doing health and fitness? Should I take a year off? Should I wait until I quote unquote have my body back, which is bullshit. And what should I do? And then the phone started ringing and it was people saying to me the most beautiful thing. And they would start by saying, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. And I'm like, oh God, right? I'm someone's going to tell me the worst thing ever. And they're like, but I really want to work with you because you look like me. I really want to work with you because you just had a baby and I just had a baby. I had a C-section. I had this. I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. Seeing you, you're so courageous, seeing you on TV, putting yourself out there 4 months after having baby. I don't even know how you're doing it. Can you help me? And there was this instant connection because of courage to just go, screw it, I'm going to do it. And then I realized I had a huge aha that business really isn't about me. Our gifts really aren't about us. They're about helping other people. And if I chose to close up shop and say, I'm not cut out for this and I don't look a certain way and I'm not enough, then all those women that needed me weren't going to get served. They were never going to be able to find me if I quit. So it became not about me. It became about those women and the people that I could help. And that was a huge, huge, huge change.
And that is,
yeah.
That's so courageous, though. It's so courageous to know. And I think that's what so many people misunderstand. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about all of those other people that can hear you. And that's why I just love you so much, because you are true and authentic. And no matter your body shape, yes, people look at things aesthetically, but it's that deeper level of knowing that you can help them mentally as well as physically to get to where they need to be. So that was the push. That was the really shitty time, but also the most courageous time, because all of those negative haters and comments actually shifted that trajectory for you in a completely different way. Totally. So what came then?
Totally. So I kept going in the health and fitness space, but so business blew up, business expanded, business was amazing, started helping people all over the world, US, Canada, UK, Australia, like just all over the world. Wow. Beautiful. But I started to really see that it was never about the pounds. It was never about, it was wanting to lose weight, but there was a deeper issue. There was a trauma that happened. There was someone telling them they weren't good enough.
Yeah.
There was not valuing themselves, not thinking that they were important enough to take time for themselves. There was trying to prove somebody wrong, or like there was just some sort of trauma or something that had happened that was causing people to protect themselves by putting on weight or prove something because they dealt with someone consistently, what I dealt with, someone consistently criticizing or telling me I wasn't enough or telling me I had to do things a certain way that didn't work for me. And the more clients that I started to take on, I almost felt like I was back in those like ICU days where I was like, I am busting my butt and I'm helping so many people, that my self-care actually started to go out the window.
Really?
And I was in this bit of, again, transition where I was like, am I really happy? Again, like on paper, beautiful husband, beautiful baby, beautiful career, booming 6-figure business in health and fitness, online program, doing things that trailblazing, doing things people hadn't done before, getting on television, the whole bit. But I wasn't happy. I was like, I don't feel good in the day to day. I don't feel good. I don't feel as energized and happy as I possibly could. And no matter how much money I make, I feel like there is still just something missing. It's just not complete. It's just not right. There's another way that I am meant to help and serve people. And I did this 6-month mastermind, like group coaching mastermind program. And it was like my first kind of go at like almost like life coaching. So I was like, I'm going to teach health and fitness, but there's this whole area of other stuff we got to deal with before we ever get into the health and fitness. Yeah. So I was teaching about relationships and your home and your parenting. And then 1 month was business, like your passion project. It was all around legacy and legacy building. And it was like seeing if people wanted to have like a side hustle or an online business. And that was the month. And that was like the module that people were like, oh my God, I want to do what you did. Like, I want to have a business. I want to have a side hustle. I want to leave my full-time job. I'm miserable. My boss is a jerk. I'm missing time with my babies. Like, I want to travel the world, like, whatever it was. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm onto something here.
Wow.
And that was where the whole thing came about, where I was like, okay, I have a successful online health and fitness business. Maybe it's not about health and fitness. Maybe it's about spreading your message and getting your gifts and your talents and your message bigger out to the world. And that was where just teaching myself content marketing, hooking on stuff with my husband with digital marketing, and the lead generation stuff that he was doing and creating courses, like basically every single thing that I did, I was like, I can teach someone else how to do that. I could teach someone else how to have a podcast. I could teach someone else how to create an online course. I could teach you how to have a membership or a group coaching program. And then my husband was like, where do people get stuck usually? I'm like, the tech. I'm like, the tech sucks. People don't know how to do the tech. And he's like, I know how to do the tech. Like, I can do that. And we're like, ta-da! Oh my God, we should coach together. We should offer programs together. So again, like, we didn't plan that we were going to parent together, play together, work together, do business together. Life just took me in that. I chose to listen. I chose to kind of surrender and go, what makes sense? Like, where is life taking me? And that's where it took me. And it led me to work with my husband, which is the most beautiful gift that is just so fun and so amazing. And again, if you had told me 15 years ago that I would be living in Canada, working as a content digital marketer with my husband, starting the business, like, I didn't know that my husband was going to be my husband. I didn't know I was going to live in Canada. I didn't know we were going to have a business together. Like, never in my that was not the plan that I was told was going to happen in my life. But
it was never your plan.
No,
the plan for everybody else was never your plan. And I think it's so beautiful that you've tuned in and you've listened to what messages you've been given, and you've created this life that is literally a vibrant life. It's come with its shitty points, but you've come out of it the other side, and you've come out of it the other side even stronger, more passionate, and who's to say that this won't evolve into something else again? And I think you tuning in and knowing that there is something always more for you is so much more special than just not listening to it and pushing it aside. And I just want to put on that, jump on the point that you said, I was earning the 6 figures and I was pushing, but I knew I was miserable and I knew I was being unhealthy, and it wasn't serving me or my family to the best of my abilities. So making that transition to doing what you're doing now and making it a family business where you can literally, you can have fun whenever you want to, you can work whenever you want to. And that's the difference. You're not switching dollar for hours anymore.
Yeah. And that freedom to be able to help other people do that. Mm-hmm. It was similar to me when I first moved here, and I was like, what do you mean I could have my own business? People, they don't know. They don't know what's possible. And now that I'm aligned, for me, I feel like now the forgiveness can come and the self-love. And now that one thing is, now that I'm doing this business and I'm not in health and fitness, now I'm back to my own health and fitness as priority. My health and fitness is for me, because I used to lie and say that when I would teach my group fitness classes, those were workouts for me. And that was like, I was still getting my workout in, and it was like, no, I was still focusing on other people. So now
it's not the same. People used to say to me all the time, it's like, you're doing 5 classes a day. It's like, yeah, but it's not for me. It's for everybody else. I need my time.
And then the other piece, I think about those nurses that were bullies, and I think about those keyboard warriors. And the forgiveness for me, I'm able to see at the time I couldn't. Before I was like, fuck them, right? All these adjectives coming out of my mouth. But now I can forgive because I realize they're only doing the best with what they have. They're hurting. They need healing. They're unhappy. They're misaligned. They're not on their path. Yeah. They're burnt out. Maybe those nurses, they didn't have, like me, they didn't have self-care, which is why they were acting the way they were acting. Those keyboard warriors, some part of their life is not healthy, and that's why they're lashing out the way they are. So now that I'm aligned, I can see it and I can forgive. And I think that true healing comes when you're taken care of, you're well, you're healthy, you're taking time for you.
It's also learning from the lessons as well, isn't it? It's learning from the lessons that have been presented to you, and knowing that if you want more, like we said, if you're aligned and you know you want more, then knowing what it is that you can actually do. And even if you don't know what it is that you can do, there is a saying, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Right. So, and Eric and you together have created this incredible business, and you didn't know that, as you said, that was going to happen. So let me ask you this. What is the greatest piece of advice you could give to the listeners today who are thinking, oh my God, that's my life. That's where I was. I'm not sure what I wanted to do. I don't have the courage. What is your greatest piece of advice that you can share? Why?
That you already are enough. You already have absolutely everything you need to do what you are meant to do on this planet. You don't have to learn anymore. You don't have to seek anymore. You don't have to prove anymore. You don't have to please anymore. You have to get real quiet and go internal and start cluing into your feelings of, does this feel right? Is this right for me? Does this bring me joy? Does this make sense? How am I triggered by something? All those little things mean something, and it just means that you're not on the right path. But the more that you tune in, the right path will reveal itself to you. And taking the action will then show you where the right next step is to go. You don't have to know every single step in the system. You have to just take that next step. I had no idea what I was doing when I was moving here in Canada, but I was like, I'm going to pack the U-Haul and off to the border we're going to go, or here we're going to go. Like, I don't know all about this, but I'm going to go on TV and take this little mini step, or I'm going to put myself out on social media and take this little mini step. You just have to take those mini steps. And by taking those mini steps, it will show you where the right next step is to go. And you already have it. It's already inside of you. You just got to start tuning in and taking action.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And you know, as you've grown in your career as well, and you've grown with your vision, you've worked with mentors yourself, because, you know, when you want to grow and you want to develop, it's important that as a coach, you also have mentorship. As we spoke about when you're a nurse, there's no mentorship, there's no coaches, there's no support. So as you've grown in your business, in your life, then who have been some of the best mentors that you would hold your hands up and say, I'm so grateful?
Yes. So I met Nick, as we talked about earlier, in Brendan Burchard's mastermind. So Brendan was the first one that helped me clue into the joy and like really getting real with like, am I truly happy, or am I just on paper happy and putting on the happy face that things are perfect when they are not perfect? So he helped me really learn about that and online and the online world as well, because he's in all things online. Yeah. And then Bo Eason is the mentor that I've been studying under for the last almost 2 years. And I love Bo. Bo is one of those guys where it's like, if you think you're going to have a mentor and they're going to be like your bestie and they're going to be your best friend, no, you want a mentor that calls you on your shit, that tells you what you need to hear, whether you like it or you don't, because they see greatness in you. They see your potential. They see what you're truly made of and how you are self-sabotaging yourself and saying, don't do that anymore. Here, you're doing this. I want you to take note of it. And here's where you need to do something different. And that's Bo. And he's all about your personal story. So for me, sharing my story about growing up and some of the stories that you heard today, that's been like the best form of therapy I've ever had in my entire life. Like,
you know, again, people can have this misconception that, why are they talking about that? Why are they talking about that? Because you never know who's going to be listening at that moment that it resonates with so much, and they just need to hear your voice. They need to hear your story, and they need to know that the possibilities for them are endless as long as they have that courage to step in and do the work. And it's about doing the inner work like you did. You kind of had that resilience and you kept going, and that was amazing. And you know what drives you right now? That's what drove you then, that you didn't like the job, you were feeling burnt out, but right now as you're living your life, and you know, you spoke about Brendan Burchard saying, does it bring you joy and happiness?
Yeah.
What are you doing now that has changed everything, that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, that makes you so committed and driven in your job with Eric? It's not a job. Do we use the word job? No,
do we know, right? It's like, it's so fun. It's hard some days too, but some days it's so fun. It's like you have your choice, ain't a job. But what drives me is, I will say, being a nurse and working a lot in end-of-life care and palliative care. And you really realize that, like, tomorrow, I know it sounds so cliche and it's been said, tomorrow is not a given.
No.
And I told you, my story of how I almost got wiped out by the transport truck. I know you've heard that story.
I have, yeah, but everybody else hasn't.
Yeah. And it's, I received these text messages from my mom when I made that break and started to go on my own path. And they were really unkind, really mean. I don't think you're a good mom. I don't believe in you. You're not my daughter anymore. Was this hate. And I was so distracted. I threw down my phone and I just slammed my car in drive, and I was shaking and I was crying. And even though I was in the car by myself, something said stop, and I slammed on that brake. And as soon as I looked up, a transport truck zipped right by me. And I almost got wiped out. I would have been killed. I would have been dead on impact, wiped out, killed.
That's an epiphany moment right there.
And my little guy was young. He was like almost 2, maybe year and a half, 2. And it was that moment with the combination of being around so much death and dying and realizing that one day you're well and one day you're not. One day you're here, one day you're not. One little decision of slamming on the brakes or not can change your whole life. That there is no, I'll do that when, I'll be happy when, I'll figure that out later. I have time for that. It's now.
And it's not about luck either. It's not about luck. It's like you've created this life. Nothing has been handed to you. Nothing has just been given. It's like, okay, you had this idea, you had this vision. Eric saw the bigger vision. You then tapped into that vision, and now you've created that, which is, life. Life is about living it and living it joyfully and living it with some fun and some happiness. Otherwise, what is the point? What are we here for? We're not here to just go and keep doing the 9-to-5 that makes you miserable as sin with people who you actually don't want to be with. And it's so important. So what is now for you the biggest driving force to keep you going, to make this business even bigger, stronger, and have more impact than it does right now?
I believe that a lot of the issues that we're having in this world right now is because we have a lot of hurt people. We have a lot of leaders that aren't stepping up and leading the way that this world needs it to be. And I believe that we keep thinking that someone else is going to be the catalyst and be the ripple effect and make the change. And these people in power, or these people in politics, or these people on TV, or these people that were given these platforms are going to make the change. And it's not. It's us that's going to make the change on these kinds of platforms like podcasts and speaking and our business. And whenever we have an opportunity to share our gifts with the world, it's all of us stepping up, stepping into our power, owning our truth, healing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, taking care of the planet. It's all of us doing our little tiny, it's like pieces of a puzzle. It's all of us in our own little worlds doing our own little thing to help ourselves and help the planet and spread our message that is going to make this change that we so desperately want.
Yeah.
So that's my driving factor, is helping people heal, helping people be heard, and helping people get their message out to the masses online so that more people can band together and have communities and tune in and heal themselves and do good work and make money and have impact and all of that we need. It's that driving factor that this world needs change. And we're going to be the ones right here and now to change it.
Totally. And, you touched on it right then. I think so many entrepreneurs are like you. Yeah. You reached burnout before you were an entrepreneur, but then as you stepped into the entrepreneurial world, you were reaching burnout, fatigue, ill health, neglecting yourself, your self-time. And I think it's a big thing it's a big impact that is needed for women to really start looking after themselves so that they can be there for themselves first, and then as a partner, and then as a mom. Because without those things, if you're just doing everything else, that's when you lose you, and you forget who it is and what it is that you actually want to do, and what it is that you want to impact the world with. So, I love talking to you. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Right. And I just want to wrap it up there because I think it's what you've shared of those nuggets is amazing. So, like you said, it's lead generation, it's content creation, it's speaking gigs, it's digital, it's encompassing everything. So you and Eric work together and you do everything together. So you've got in the energy from both aspects, but you've also got the actual knowledge and strategies behind it. So that's what kind of things have you got coming up if people want to get hold of you, if they need some help with the digital stuff, the techie stuff?
Yeah.
So things have you got coming up that they can reach out to you and you can help them?
Absolutely. So my website is www.lisapezik, P-E-Z-I-K or P-E-Z-I-K.com. And you can find all things there of how we can help you with those done for you services to create a course or an ebook or a mentorship program or a mastermind or a website or a funnel or any of that. But also all of my social links are on there. My podcast, my blog, like all of my, Facebook, Instagram, because I really think we just need to start changing this conversation. So it's like tuning in more and getting conscious and getting clear and being connected as a community is really important to me. So whether it's helping you spread your message in your business or just banding together and supporting each other on social media and tuning into different ways, I would absolutely love that. So I got a speaking gig coming up in California, which I'm super excited about.
Back in California?
I'm back in California.
Where are you going to be?
Palm Springs, California, September 19th, 20th, 21st. And then the 25th, 26th, I'm at a mastermind with Bo as well. So I'm always learning and always upgrading and trying to get better at, the way I'm showing up in the world. So some exciting things coming up, bringing the whole family too. We might do Disney for a day. So that's the cool part.
You always take them everywhere.
We do.
Amazing. I love that fact as well that, you get to take Oliver wherever you go and he gets to experience that. He sees mommy and daddy that are creating a life of entrepreneurial lifestyle that you have the ability to be able to do things, which is epic. And, I've done the same with my boys, is take them away. And I think sometimes travel is one of the biggest educations you can actually give to them.
Yes.
It's so important. Right, my love, it has been amazing to chat with you. We could literally chat for hours and hours and hours, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I just want to say a huge heartfelt thank you and give my love to Eric and to Oliver. And I'm sure we will see each other in person really, really soon.
Thank you so, so, so much. You are a blessing, and I'm so glad we are connected.
Oh, me too. And I'll see you real soon. So I want to say a huge thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. I really am so grateful for all of you. We are so grateful for all of you that are tuning in, and that if you feel that you have got value from this podcast, if you feel that there's so much more that you want to hear, then please do go over to iTunes, leave a review, and share this episode with some of your best friends or people you know would also really, really get value from it. We only grow through you, and we're only here because of you. We want you to know that each and every woman out there, we are supporting you, we have your back, and we really want to bring you as much value as possible. So from all of us here at Vibrant Balanced Health, we want to say thank you so much for listening to us today. Your honesty is so important, and we really, really just want to help more and more women live their more vibrant life and create impact. And that only happens with your support and with your connection to share this message with thousands of women. So thank you so much for stopping in. And if you feel called to, please do pop on over, leave a review, say hi, leave your comments, let us know what you'd like to hear more of, and we will be sure to bring you even more value over and over again.